Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious chili sauce. It does not have beans or meat in it. It is just the sauce, but trust me, it is absolutely delicious and we love it. So let's get started. We are starting out with our frozen tomatoes in the roaster again. So I'm going to get these started. Plus I have those to cut and put in here and wash. I have these to cut up and put in here and wash. And I have all these. So I have quite a bit of work to do ahead of me to get all of these tomatoes prepped and ready. So what you want to do is get your tomatoes going and start cooking them down to make your base sauce first. All right, truth time. I went and bought a box of peaches. Okay, came home and one box of peaches is a half a bushel. So I come home with a half a bushel of peaches and I'm singing the song, "Millions of peaches, peaches for me," like that song. My daughter had never heard it. She thought I made it up and she's like, "You make up the dumbest songs I've ever heard." And I'm like, I didn't make it up. I'm like, go on Google, like Google it. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, whoever made that up, that's the most stupidest song. Made me feel really old that my kid had never heard that song before. But, you know, I guess I'm showing my age maybe. I don't know. But anyhow, in order to make peach jam, we need to take these guys and get the skins off and take the pits out. So what you're gonna do is get some boiling water going, and then you're gonna drop these in there for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and that will loosen the skins up and they'll peel right off. So you want 4 cups of peaches that are pitted and skinned. Four cups of peaches. To our peaches we are adding, are you ready? 7.5 cups of sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's our half. To this we are adding 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Turn your burner on to a medium heat and you're going to want to bring this up to a boil. I don't cut my peaches finely diced because I like to get in there with my immersion blender and then chunk everything up into like a puree. So that's kind of what I do, but you can dice these up finely if you want to, but I'd rather let the blender do the work. So as our sugar dissolves for our peach jam, we're going to come over and we're going to stir our tomatoes. The skins are starting to peel off, as you can see right here, and our juice is starting to release itself. So we're getting that texture and, you know, release of everything that we want at this point. So we're just going to continue to let that cook and go back to our jam. Okay, once it reaches the point where you stir and it does not stop boiling, you want to add in 1 package of pectin. And then once you stir this in, you're going to set your timer for 1 minute. And then boil it hard, stirring constantly for 1 minute. Once this is done boiling for the minute, you want to skim, see all the foam? You want to skim all that foam off the top and just discard it. You can either put it in the sink or in the trash, whatnot, but it needs to come off of your jam. Okay, take your jars and then you want to ladle your jam into your jars. And we are looking for 1/4 inch of headspace, which is pretty typical for jams and jelly. And I'm doing these in 1/2 pints and 1/4 pints because I ran out of 1/2 pints. So we're just going to use, I have 2 1/4 pints here, so we'll see if we need them or not. Once your jars are filled, you're going to take a wet paper towel, go around the top of each one, Make sure to get all of the residue off, because with that much sugar it is going to be extremely sticky, and if you don't get all that sugar off, it's not going to seal. This will then be water bath canned for 10 minutes. Make sure you have at least 2 inches of water over top of your jars. And also make sure you adjust your time for your altitude. To make chili sauce, you're going to need 12 cups of tomato sauce. I did not record actually making the sauce through the ricer, but there's my 12 cups of sauce. You are going to need 3 cups of green peppers. So I have green and one that was starting to turn red. So I have 3 cups of those. And then down here, I have a jalapeno that is finely diced up. So you need 2 tablespoons of a jalapeno. You also need 2 cups of a finely diced onion. For this recipe, you're going to need to make a spice bag. So in it, you're going to need 1 cinnamon stick, 1 bay leaf, 2 teaspoons of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of celery seed, a half a teaspoon of cloves, whole cloves, and then a half a teaspoon of black peppercorns. Gather up the sides of the bag, and then you're going to need some twine. So then just wrap that around, and you want to make sure everything is gathered and you don't have any open sides, or everything's going to fall right out. So I usually tie it once in the front and then twice in the back. And then you have your own little spice bag. Take your bag and just drop it right into your sauce. And then mix that all up. With the spice bag in, you're going to add 1.5 cups of white vinegar and 1.5 cups of white sugar. To this, add 1 teaspoon of canning salt. Stir that in well. And then you're going to stir this frequently. You want this to boil down because you want to reduce this by a fair amount. So you want it to thicken up. So it's going to have to cook for a while. And I always cook it on about a medium heat. And then just stir it from time to time so that it doesn't burn to the bottom of the pot. You want this to thicken up, and I wouldn't can it until it's reduced by at least 1/3 from what it is at the beginning. When your sauce is as thick as you want it to be, you want to take 2 cloves of garlic and chop it up into fine pieces and put that into your pot, along with a half a teaspoon of ground ginger and a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Once you've added these 3 ingredients in, continue to cook it for 15 more minutes, and then we're going to put them in jars. Whenever your 15 minutes is up, make sure you pull your spice bag out and discard it. When filling your jars, you want a 1/2 inch headspace, and make sure you take a knife and run along the edge of your jar to get all the air pockets out, because they're, you know, you can see the peppers and onions in here. There are particles, so you want to make sure that you get all the air bubbles and air pockets out of this. So 1/2 inch headspace. Take a wet paper towel and go around the edges of each jar to get all of the debris off, so that way you get a good seal. Fingertip tight. You are going to process these for 15 minutes in a water bath canner. Adjust your time accordingly to your elevation. What a busy day. We ended up with 6 pints of chili sauce, and we ended up with 8 jars of peach jam. So hopefully you'll try out these recipes, and I hope you enjoy them so much. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.